welcome everyone to Well That's Horrific, episode 3, season 3. This is a podcast about anything and everything horror, and today we have a special episode. Pretty much what our entire podcast is about, horror movies and our love for Halloween. Right. We have Halloween Ends, the final movie of the David Gordon Green trilogy.
Yep.
And this is going to be a long episode. I feel it.
Yeah, no, this is definitely going to be a long episode. We're going to try to go in depth as much as we possibly can and just kind of review it to the fullest degree. And yeah, so, if you've seen it, great. If you haven't, please note that, spoilers are ahead. The good news is that you don't have to go into theaters and watch it. You can watch it on Peacock and then come back to this. I'm excited that we finally get to do this. It's long, overdue, this movie. And I'm ready to go.
All right. Let's start with the intros, right? So, of course, we've seen Halloween. We've seen Halloween Kills. This is the saga of Michael Myers and Laurie Strode coming to an end. The final installment in the trilogy. This is the straight-up synopsis that I see here. Starring, of course, Jamie Lee Curtis, who's coming back for, her sixth movie now? Or if we count
Halloween 1, Halloween 2, H2O, Resurrection, 1, 2, 3, seventh.
Okay, her seventh movie.
Yeah.
And we got Andy Matichak, who stars as Allison, of course, she's coming back from the last two movies. And then we have James Jude Courtney coming back as Michael Myers. He was Michael Myers in the last two movies as well, in 2018 and in Kills. Yep. And then we have a couple new characters coming around this particular movie. And straight off the bat, I mentioned to you should probably avoid spoilers. And you did your best, right? You saw how many trailers going into the movie?
I saw just the initial trailer that they had released in July. That's the only one that I watched. It was like a minute and like 10, 16 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. The only thing that I knew at the time walking in, anything that I saw no TV spot, no additional trailer, no final trailer, no. What else is there? Anything online? I went online on social media, on Twitter, and everywhere, muted every word possible. Yeah. Halloween Ends, Michael Myers, Laurie Strode, everything, just so I can walk into the theater clean. You
even mentioned that you went to see, I think it was Smile, and you just hummed and covered your ears.
Oh my god! I saw Smile. They showed the trailer. I'm just like, no, I don't want to see anything. I was like, la la la. It's like, don't.
And even then, I kind of agree with something that you said. You said even then that might have been too much, right?
Yeah.
Even the first trailer might have been too much?
Even the first... So? You know what's so funny? Looking back now, because I went after watching Halloween Ends, I looked back at the trailers that they did release and everything that I didn't see. And, there's a lot of things there that, would have given out too much. But there's also a lot of things there that they false marketed, which is, I think, a problem.
So we can get there. This movie does have a bit of a bait and switch, of course.
Yes,
I guess I can pretty much say this now. The embargo is lifted. I could have said this as of like Friday. I did see this movie, 3-4 months ago. I was lucky enough to get an early screening, and I actually tried to get you in there as well, but it was a little too late.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to have seen this movie. I couldn't talk about it. Couldn't really say anything to anybody. All I pretty much confirmed with you is that it was the movie. I didn't think it was going to be the movie, and then it was the movie.
Right. So, as you know, the listeners and viewers out there have seen that Tommy was not able to actually comment on anything Halloween Ends. If you've seen our TikTok or if you've seen our Instagram, you see the videos of him just like, no comment. That's because he had watched it in June. He didn't know what movie he was going into, and it turned out to be Halloween Ends, and it turned out that David Gordon Green was right in front of him.
Yeah.
And
so we can get into that as well. I wanted to just have a segment where we kind of deep dive in terms of what's different, what was different in the version that I saw versus the version that finally came out, and what that experience was like. But before we even get there, again, like you mentioned, I couldn't comment on this. I saw the trailers and I was listening to other people's reactions. So I heard what some of the online reaction was, some of the things that you mentioned, some of the things that people caught, and even in the first trailer, you caught it. I don't know if you saw it somewhere else, but you caught the hands. You said you mentioned that you saw when he opened the doorway that it was the hand. I even tried to tell you, I was like, "Are you sure it's the right hand?" Because I didn't want to confirm or anything. But
yeah, I saw the hands right away, and like I know that there's a whole team behind, who does the trailers, who makes the trailers, everything about it. So there's no way that was a mistake. I knew they put that there intentionally, and also I think what else was given a little bit too much of was the synopsis. The synopsis on the YouTube video.
All right, fun fact, guys. If you go back and you watch my reaction to Mr. S actually reading the synopsis, I was surprised. I hadn't read the synopsis. The first time I heard the synopsis was when you read it out loud during the recording, and I was surprised you knew this information. Yeah. So I was more so like, wait, they announced this? I wasn't sure if they intended to release that information. That I think is the key thing. I think that should have definitely been left out. Now, when you go back and talk about the hand, I think in retrospect, or at least in the moment, right? I knew, having seen the movie, I knew that they couldn't market the movie for what it was. I knew it. Like, there was no way they were going to market the movie for what the movie actually was and expect people to go watch it. There was no way. So I expected them to show very little. I didn't expect them to show the full movie. I expected them to basically just show Michael here and there. And now, again, in retrospect, I think that hand was placed there purposely because they wanted to give you some sort of hint of what you were getting, right? They couldn't give you it all, and it would have probably been worse for them if they had given you it all.
Right. I do agree with that.
So I think that hand was there for, like, we need to give them a hint, right? So here's your hint. Here's your hand. You can try to put that together.
Who knows? Who knows with trailers, right? Who knows? Maybe that hand was put there to show that maybe just a prankster trying to prank Laurie Strode. Like, you'd never know the actual intent of the hand.
Keep in mind that there's been other people in Michael Myers masks, and back in Halloween 4 or 5?
Halloween 2, Ben Tramer's not Ben Tramer. Death,
he gets hit by the car. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
But it doesn't happen again in like Halloween 4 where there's like a gang of people wearing the mask.
Exactly. He's like, don't shoot.
Yeah. So it's been done before. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad, but I think that was as much of a hint as they could have given. Right. I didn't really remember. I don't remember watching the rest of the trailers, but again, I had seen the movie, so like I was just going based off your reactions and seeing what you found out with trying to avoid the movie. Right. Keep in mind, I could give you the entire opposite spectrum where my brother, who was like dying for me to tell him details, and I refused to tell him anything, and he was watching every trailer trying to analyze everything and watching other people's YouTube videos trying to figure out what's going on. I'm like, bro, relax. Like, even if I tell you, you're just gonna be, you might be more upset. I want you to go watch the movie and then figure it out and see what you tell me. You know what I mean?
Right, of course. You want to be, you want to have that element itself, like of surprise and,
no matter what the movie is, if I spoil it for you, it's never going to be as fun.
Right, I agree 100%. And I appreciate the fact that you really kept your word. You didn't spoil a single thing for me. So that's always a plus. That being said, I mean, you want to just, get into it?
Yes. I mean, I guess I'll let you start off on this one. I kind of had a certain expectation of what your reaction was going to be to this movie, and let's just hear it.
Oh, okay. So again, before we proceed, again, if you haven't watched it, this is your final warning. Spoilers are ahead. We are going to be talking about it. I've seen this movie 3 times already. I have a plethora.
He's seen it more than me.
Yeah, I've seen it 3 times. I have a plethora of notes here. I really want to dig deep into this and kind of just review it because it is the concluding chapter of a 44-year franchise legacy. So that is that. So again, if you haven't watched it, please, this is your final warning.
Spoilers ahead.
Spoilers are ahead. Okay. So, Halloween Ends. Directed by David Gordon Green. Final installment. Written and co-written with David Gordon Green and Danny McBride.
Yes.
I guess I should read the synopsis instead. Well, IMDb gives you a very brief one. The saga of Michael Myers and Laurie Strode comes to a spine-chilling climax in its final installment of this trilogy.
That's what I read, yep.
Cool. Completely different from the one that YouTube gave us.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So let's read that one. Let's read the one that was on YouTube. It was
Yeah, I can read it for you right here. I have it actually. Perfect. I have it. I'm telling you, I'm prepared for this one, man.
So let's start it with that.
Okay. 4 years after the events of Halloween Kills, Laurie is living with her granddaughter Allison and is finishing writing her memoir. Michael Myers hasn't been seen since. Laurie, after allowing the specter of Michael Myers to determine and drive her reality for decades, has decided to liberate herself from fear and rage and embrace life. But when a young man, Corey Cunningham, is accused of killing a boy he was babysitting, it ignites a cascade of violence and terror that will force Laurie to finally confront the evil she can't control once and for all. Second thing I want to point out before I decipher this a little bit. If you're one of those people that say, oh, if you like this movie, you're not a fan, or vice versa, if you didn't like this movie, you're not a fan, there's no room for that over here. Like, we're here to watch a movie, analyze it, and give our honest opinions. We are not controlled by the overall, opinions of others. Does that make sense? What you see from us is, generic, organic, and that is that. Okay, so the synopsis YouTube gives me, I think it's a lot, man. I think it's a lot. Like, come on.
It is a lot, but honestly, now hearing it back, I don't think it's not uninteresting, right? It's not. It's a lot.
It's not that it's uninteresting, but what you can take from this is that it's going a different route.
Correct.
This is going a different route for sure. Introducing Corey Cunningham, which I don't think they should have introduced. I think they just should have said, they could have easily said, blah, blah, 4 years later, an event causes a cascade of violence and terror that will force Laurie to finally confront the evil she can't control. If they had left it at that, I'd be like, okay, cool. They gave me something without really giving me something. Let me walk into it. And then that's that. You know me. I'm not a fan of trailers, man. You know me. Like, I love trailers. I like for people to be like hooked, but I really feel like they got to be smart with it to not let.
I'm 100% with you.
Too much be revealed, even though
I follow the same rule that you do. Yeah. I only watched the first trailer. Yeah. Everything after that,
I don't want to be hypocritical. I know it's going to sound hypocritical what I'm about to say, but even though the first time I've seen them do this, Halloween, the franchise itself, is they really did give a lot off that wasn't there, and that kind of makes me happy, but also kind of makes me mad, and I'll tell you why right now when we get into it. But Halloween Ends. It was definitely a different movie, and we knew this walking into this movie, given the synopsis, given what David Gordon Green has repeatedly said. He repeatedly said and tweeted and said, mentioned it. We would like to, make a movie that is not predictable. If you think that I'm going to give you the same old Halloween movie, he goes, then you're wrong. He said that before, which is fine. I was prepared for it. I was ready for it. I think for me, with the Corey Cunningham story, as you guys know, he was accused of killing a boy. We saw the first 25 minutes. Oh, no, first 15. Not even. Yeah. First 15 minutes, we saw what happened. I enjoyed the first 15 minutes. I thought it was definitely something different. I didn't know where they were going at it with it. And we learned that he accidentally kills the kid that he's babysitting. Okay, that's just generic. Now let's start it and decipher it. October 2019.
This is 1 year after
the events of Kills.
Correct.
You have a boy named Corey Cunningham who's coming to babysit a kid named Jeremy, which, by the way, I felt like they were trying really hard to kind of make Jeremy look like Julian.
Asshole. Oh, yeah, act like Julian. It was being an asshole.
I think they saw that it kind of worked for them in the first movie, so I was like, let's try to do it again. Cool, I guess, it was cool. His mom gives Corey some instructions of not to watch scary movies and make sure he goes to bed early because he's scared, with all the events that happened last year with Michael Myers, blah, blah, blah. Corey completely disregards that and gives the kid what he wants. They're watching The Thing on TV, and then he goes to drink chocolate milk, which is something I thought was pretty interesting. He has a beer in the fridge and he decides to drink chocolate milk, which indicates that this guy is an innocent guy. He's not really a bad guy. He's not one of those teens, right? Comes back, Jeremy is missing. He's like, Jeremy, where are you? Stop playing games, blah, blah, blah. Goes into the kitchen to see that the kitchen knife has been removed. Somebody took it. He goes upstairs and sees the kitchen knife on the staircase. He's looking for Jeremy. He goes into the attic, I want to say.
He grabs the knife. He actually grabs the knife. Yeah.
Correct. He grabs the knife, goes into the attic, and I want to say it's the attic.
Yeah,
he goes into the attic. Jeremy pulled a prank on him, locks the door. He's like, oh, he's scared. But, Corey's really upset because his parents are about to come home and he doesn't want to look bad. So he's kicking the door to try to unlock it. He kicks it open. hits Jeremy in the face, and Jeremy falls like three flights of stairs right in front of their parents. Boom, he's dead. Title card. Okay, so good. I like it. 15 minutes in, we see Corey Cunningham and what the synopsis has indicated. Cool. What is your take on that before I continue?
At this point, I mean, if we're going scene by scene, right, we have that initial title screen.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that I like about that intro sequence.
Right.
One, it's very different. It's very unexpected. It started with music playing, if I'm not mistaken, right? That was the first thing you heard.
Right.
Was just
from
like
the radio. 94.9, I think it was.
Yeah, I don't remember the radio station, but I like that. I was a big fan of that. So I have that marked as one of the things that I liked. I do see some of the things you mentioned, the whole chocolate milk thing, beer. As far as like the only complaint I have about that scene would probably be the little kid, right? The little kid was being a little annoying.
Yeah.
You know, he was putting up a front in front of his parents, and then obviously when he left, he was acting like an asshole. He played a prank on Corey. Corey kills him, accidentally. You know, kicks him down. Obviously, there's the thing of him looking down the staircase and the mom looking up the staircase, and him holding the knife, and you're wondering why is he still holding this knife. But then also we have to take into account that you know, he was scared. He was going up the stairs and he found the knife. Right, the knife was missing to begin with, and the kid had been teasing him when it came to Michael Myers in the first place.
Right.
And then we have the title screen,
Right.
blue font.
Yes.
What does that remind you of?
So I have it here. Blue font is reminding me of Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Correct.
So if you saw anything from the first two movies, you saw that Halloween 2018 resembled Halloween 1978. Halloween Kills resembled Halloween 2, and now Halloween Ends is resembling Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, which should indicate that it is going to be a different movie.
Correct.
Because John Carpenter, obviously, if you guys didn't know, he never wanted to continue Michael Myers. Never. But it was such a success that he was forced to bring it back because he went with Halloween 3 to try to make it a little bit different. He was trying to do this anthology series. Didn't work out for him. He had to bring back Michael Myers, and then he gave up the rights. So, yeah, indication that it is going to be a different movie. Okay, so we have the title card, and then we have a time jump, right, to 2022.
Present
October.
time.
Yeah, present time. Here we have Actually, I want to go back a little bit. No, I don't. Actually, I don't, because here I have it the way I have it. Okay. We have the introduction of Laurie Strode. Now, Laurie Strode is describing the life post-kills without Michael Myers, and how she bought a house and how she's living with Allison and how everything's great, and she decided to like come out of, you know, fear and try to live a great life. Great. I listed this as a pro. I thought this was cool to see. I thought it was something different than what we've been seeing, and it's also cool to see Laurie Strode having some happiness in her life, because I feel like she hasn't been having that.
And the irony here is that later on you list this as a con.
Right. So check it out. So that is an irony. Well, here's the way the movie does it. There's going to be a lot of things here that the movie does a nice way, you know, like it's cool to see, but it just, if it doesn't make sense to me, that's a whole different conversation. I know,
but I want to bring back one thing from like our last season, a couple 5-6 episodes ago, when we were talking about Halloween Ends, and I said, I don't like Laurie's hair. What do you think I was talking about? I don't like her being happy. I don't like this. I told you. I called it, man. I called it back then. Go back and watch it. I said I don't like Laurie's hair.
Why don't you like the hair? I mean,
because it to me it was a symbol that she was past Michael. That she was living her best life. Yeah, but she was happy. I wanted damaged Laurie, man. I didn't want happy Laurie. And we could get to this later. We could get to this later when we get there. But there's an argument that you have when it comes to.
I mean, I feel like it's fitting to have it now, though. You know, I listed this as a pro. The fact that she's kind of introducing the movie post Michael Myers, right? Post kills. Yeah. And it's nice. Again, it's cool. I love how they're doing it. I love how like whatever she's saying is like, you know, they're showing it with imagery. And, you know, she also talks about the town, how like, by the way, I don't know if you caught this, but the woman that was hung was actually that kid Cameron's best friend's mother, Oscar's mother. I don't know if you caught that. The lady that was hung in the introduction that Laurie Strode.
I knew I recognized her, but I don't remember. Where's
she was Oscar's mother. She saw Oscar's dead body in Halloween Kills. Remember, she was asking for him, like, "Have you seen Oscar? Have you seen Oscar?" And then while that whole mayhem thing happened, she saw him in the morgue. So she hung herself. So obviously, it shows the effects of evil or trauma, whatever you want to call it. I just didn't understand the two people that got shot. Like, are they trying to say that people are turning on each other, or that couple that was shot in the car, like they showed it with bullets in there, like
and
what was I seeing there?
It was like somebody was like, "Is Michael back?"
Yeah, what was I? Michael doesn't use guns, by the way.
But I mean, that's literally what he says.
I don't know what I was seeing there.
I guess they were just trying to show how damaged the town is. I think this is part of the elements that they brought from Kills, right? Like the whole town thing started in Kills. I want to be very specific here.
Well, you're doing it to plead your case, but we'll talk about that.
No, but that's the truth. That's where it starts from. They were trying to somehow tie in Kills, and that's where the town comes in.
Right. Here's my gripe with this. Laurie Strode, since 1978 to 2018, 40 years, has been preparing for Michael Myers, while Michael Myers is in jail, locked up.
100%.
Right?
Yep.
She isolates herself from her daughter and her granddaughter. She, with guns and preparing herself and traps and all this stuff. She's wishing that he would like come out and escape just so she can kill him, right? Michael Myers, for the last 4 years, nobody knows where he is, but he's out there, and you're deciding to live a stress-free life. Like you're trying to
listen.
Like,
I have nothing for you on that. I agree with you 100%. To me, it makes no sense. The one argument people are saying is like, she had to move away. She had to move beyond that. She knew that if she kept that up, she was going to lose Allison. And
I don't buy that though.
I know, but that was the narrative that they were trying to say, is that she had to move past Michael. She had to. Yeah. He was her boogeyman, and until she let him go, she was going to be that way no matter what. But I am 100% with you. That doesn't make sense for somebody who waited 40 years for this guy to break out, only for once he's finally free, be like, "Nah, I'm good. He's okay." Yeah. Right? He's not.
But you can see what I'm talking about when I say, like, I listed it as a pro because I did like the fact that we saw it and the way they did it with Laurie.
The way it started, yeah,
it just didn't make sense though. Like,
to me, what that says, if anything, is that it wasn't planned. This wasn't planned.
Here's my other thing with this. They mentioned COVID. Like, we knew right after Kills. We knew right after Kills there was going to be a time jump, and we knew that COVID was going to be a factor. You and I have talked about this on our past episodes. We've talked about it. We've mentioned it. Like, I literally said it to you. I said, I don't know how they're going to put COVID into this. I don't know, how they're going to tie it together, how they're going to put it, like, you see Michael Myers, like, everyone walking around with masks. Like, I was questioning it. Where the fuck was it?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Where was it?
It was just to justify the time jump. What we can blame COVID for is that this was a drastically different movie, probably. But they didn't know what they were gonna do, and then COVID happened.
So that's my next question, which I think you just probably answered: is did they have, when they announced when they announced 2 more sequels after the box office results for 2018? Did they plan on writing this script this way? I don't think they did. I think they changed it. I don't know why they changed it.
100%. I think they tried to make it work with 4 years different. I don't know if the original plan was to have all 3 movies the same night, but I definitely feel like I don't think that 4-year time jump was intended early on.
Yeah, so that didn't make sense for me. And then you jump in, and then she kind of goes on and talks about like Allison and how she's doing with, like, her nursing, job and all that stuff. I've said this to you, and I'm saying this again right now. Again, I promise you, I'm not trying to be unfair or biased or whatever you want to call it in any angle you see here. Just Allison has got to be the most disappointing thing about this movie.
And it was her movie.
But that's what I'm saying. And it was her movie. And if Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills have hinted at her being a final girl, tell me not.
No, yeah, of course.
They've hinted her and all the stuff, her parents dying and her boyfriends, and like her having a great relationship with Laurie since like the first movie, even though her mom wasn't really accepting of it. And she just like I looked at her like this, like wow, this woman is crazy. Like she's about to be the next final girl. She's like, I view her like so like classy and smart. You know, she's like sidelined. I want to say sidelined, and just her choices in this movie is just so degrading. You know, of her character, and it blew my mind. It actually blew my mind. And on top of that, spoiler warning,
without a doubt, the most annoying character.
Oh my god, she's so annoying. But not even that. But she has no scene with Michael. She had like through obviously with like not.
Oh, she has one scene
with Michael.
No, the end. She comes back
disregarding the end. Disregarding the end, she has no scene with Michael. Which in the trailers they show her with Michael and scenes her with Michael, and she has no scene with him in this movie.
I don't remember what they show in the trailer, but yeah, there's definitely no scenes with Michael in this.
I'm just like, yo, it didn't make sense to me. But her choice is like she dated this cop that looks like 2 times her age.
Yep.
And
who's revealed to be a Mulaney.
Which I told you.
To the little kids from the second movie.
Exactly. I told you.
I didn't even put that together until we saw it in the theater.
Like, why would Kills like have that scene? Like, don't fuck with the Mulaney's. There's a reason why they had mentioned that, but they did it just to bring this. I mean,
was it really used?
Like, what exactly? What was the payoff for it? But yeah, like she dated him, like, and then obviously after Laurie's like introduction, like we see her like having a thing for Corey after Corey obviously hurt his hands. Now we're gonna talk about that scene where Corey goes to I'm gonna say the deli or not deli, like the grocery store to buy.
It's a gas station. It's a gas station.
So I'm sorry.
That's why the cars are there.
Yes, gas station to buy chocolate milk again. And these high school seniors who are in a band, kind of ask him to buy beer for them because they're underage. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then they realize who he was. Obviously, the town like accused him of killing that kid, Jeremy. And they call him a freak, a psycho. I think they call him a psycho.
They call him a psycho.
Yeah, they call him
a psycho. And then Laurie comes to save the day after he what is it? They push him and he squeezes the chocolate milk and cuts himself.
Exactly. Which, by the way, that looked pretty nasty. Like I felt it.
And they call her the freak show. They said, "Oh, the freak show saving this."
Look at it. It's the psycho and the freak show.
The freak show, yeah.
Right.
And then the joke there that they always refer to, or not even a joke at that, I guess it becomes real at a certain point, is who's the psycho, who's the freak show.
Right. And the reason why this scene is important is because this is technically Laurie Strode and Corey Cunningham's first encounter. Laurie obviously knows about Corey. She's heard about the stories and whatnot. So when she greets him like a helping friend with a helping hand, you know, which is great. There's a reason why they did it this way, and like I like it. I think they know what they were doing with it. Just obviously to know that going forward, she can see the change in his eyes and changes his like personality. Okay, cool, good scene, I guess. She brings him
straight to Allison because Allison's a nurse.
Because she's a nurse. And Allison's there. Obviously, she knows who he is, and she's like kind of being a little girly, I want to say. They're both kind of like messing up in front of each other. Super flirty. Yeah, I wasn't feeling it though.
So my initial reaction of this particular scene, and even the next couple scenes here, because towards the middle of this movie, it's all about Corey and Allison, right? It's literally their relationship, and part of this movie, at least one of the biggest critiques everybody's mentioning, and I think we all can agree here, is that storyline was weird, right? Their relationship and everything there.
Yeah. And
it feels like almost it's 2 different movies, right? You have that relationship, and then you have the Halloween Michael Myers, right. And from the moment they're introduced, everything feels really fast, really forced, really like how like why is she so attracted to him, right? Is she really trying to just get with him because he's damaged goods or whatever, which she mentions later on,
which proves my whole theory, not even a theory, but which proves my whole point that they degraded this character completely. Like, what kind of woman does that? I don't care that she's been through stuff herself, but
my first reaction was pretty much that. It was just like, wow, this was fast. Like, really? Yeah. Like, are you
forced,
really there?
Very forced.
Yeah, are you really there that fast? And I'll discuss some of the differences that from the first screening. There was a slight difference,
Mm.
but yeah, immediately their relationship just seems like it's heading 100 miles per hour to the point where she's picking him over her grandmother.
Right. Okay, so we have that. Then she invites him to. Well, no, they start hanging out a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
Because like, not even that, but also the dialogue. Okay, I just want to stick to the dialogue too, and like the corny jokes, like why couldn't the bike stay on its own or stand on its own? It's like it's too tired. Like I literally wrote it here as a con. Like what kind of
Listen,
shit?
I actually don't mind that. I don't mind that. Hear me out. You know why I don't mind it? Because it was with the intent of it being corny. Like he knew it was corny. She knew it was corny.
I know.
It wasn't just a joke that us as the audience thought was corny. But he thought it was corny. She thought it was corny.
Okay, fine. I'll give you that. But here's what I tied it to. I tied it to the stupid dialogue, where he goes, "I killed someone." And that's it. And it just ended, and he shows her. He brings it to the house.
No, so he says, "I killed someone," and then it cuts to him coming into the house where he continues that sentence, but it's just like a weird gap.
It's just the vibe right there. Again, it's so like forced, and it feels like just like dark romance. Like I killed someone, okay,
Listen,
like,
here's what I'll tell you, and not to shit on your favorite movie here, but all three of these movies have terrible dialogue. I'm here to say that it's not just this movie. It's definitely not just this movie. And for a fact, Kills has terrible dialogue.
I wonder.
So does 2018.
I wonder if like David Gordon Green and Danny McBride. Well, Danny McBride probably took more of the actual dialogue aspect of it. I'm assuming so, but there has to be somebody else that has to look over this and be like,
"Here's my take.
This does not work."
Here's my take on these three movies. Honestly, on the dialogue, specifically the dialogue. 2018 was a final draft. They looked it over a few times. And they kept a couple areas that Danny McBride picked, and they were like, you know what, he wrote that, so we're gonna keep it in the movie. And those two parts are the parts that fucking I don't like, or a lot of people don't like. Then you got fucking Halloween Kills. Halloween Kills was a first draft. Nobody did a once over of that script. No, there wasn't. That shit must have grammar mistakes. I promise you. Then you have Halloween Ends. Halloween Ends was honestly
it leak?
I don't know. Oh,
Kills
leaked. Kills leaked. Yeah. Kills definitely leaked. Ends. I promise you, was two different scripts that they were like, you know what? We're doing this, and they just merged it. They fucking did a fusion dance and said, we're gonna combine both of these movies and make them work.
That's terrible, though. If that is the case, that's terrible.
That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, but I'm with you because I feel like that's what was perceived by a lot of people. It's just everyone talks about the what you call it the script, the writing, the dialogue. I mean, I don't want to sit here and say like, yeah, everybody thinks it. I think the same thing, but like, there's a reason, bro.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
so what are we going to continue scene by scene?
No, we don't have to do scene by scene. Everybody here has seen it, everybody has seen the movie. If you're here, you've seen it so far. But I like to dive deep into specific scenes because there's some things I don't know if like people have noticed or whatever. It's just that whole Corey Cunningham thing with Allison. Like I really wasn't a fan of it. I really was upset like for Allison, and this whole Corey thing. I didn't understand it. I get it. Like it looked like he was going to be the guy that they were going with, the direction that they were trying to have this movie go, but it just didn't make sense for me. And like I'll be honest with you. So there's a scene after the Halloween party that Allison invites Corey at, and he sees the mom of the child the mother of Jeremy, the child that he had killed, and he panics, he freaks out, he leaves, and he has a little fight with Allison and starts wandering off. Right. Then those high school kids catch up to him, trying to pay him back for slashing that tire. They break his glasses. I repeat, they break his glasses that he needs to see, and he needed for the bike. He literally took off his glasses, put it on to ride the bike that Ronald had gave him, and he never has it throughout the movie anymore. How does that make sense?
I don't know, man. How does Spider-Man, not wear his glasses ever again?
Stop it. Stop. Don't do that. Stop. That's different.
There's a couple supernatural elements
enhanced. His vision wasn't. No, that's not supernatural. That's more DNA. His vision was enhanced.
I know. But what I'm telling you is like there's if we start talking about Michael Myers, there's a supernatural element to him confirmed in this movie, even though they pretty much denied it in the last movie, only to confirm it at the very end. That's kind of one of the things that pissed me off about this movie in terms of like Michael in the last movie versus Michael here. It feels like two completely different Michaels. But
I agree with you. And here we go. Here's how this starts off. Jeremy gets thrown over that bridge. He lands next to that homeless guy. There's a sewer there that has been, there was a scene earlier where Allison got pulled over by the cop that was her ex and blah, blah. Goes down and there's a sewer there. Great. I predicted this correctly. Promise you I didn't see it anywhere or anything like that. I knew Michael Myers was going to be hiding somewhere. Why? I don't know why. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But Michael Myers is obviously hiding in the sewer. Corey falls over. And I didn't catch this the first time. I caught this the second time I watched this. If you see the moment where Corey falls, by his feet before they zoom into him, you see Michael walking to him next to the homeless man. I did not catch that in theaters.
I still haven't caught that. I never saw that.
Dude, if I can show it to you,
I'll go back and watch it.
But like, I did not catch that, and it was insane. Like you see him with the mask walk a little bit, and then it zooms him out. Like he's like at the end of the screen there, and then he drags Corey into the sewer.
I mean, you do see him getting dragged. That I know.
Yeah, you see him definitely getting dragged, but you don't see Michael. You just think, oh, who dragged him? Like you think it's Michael, but it's actually Michael because you see him right next to him, walking to him. It's like he's in the side, he's in the corner. You don't really notice it the first time. I didn't notice it the first time. I have that here, and you see Michael Myers 40 minutes into this movie.
Yep.
40 minutes into this movie, you see Michael Myers. How do you see Michael Myers? You see where he's hiding, or
nesting, whatever you want to call
nesting, or whatever you want to say.
Fucking hibernating. It's been
hibernating at this point. Let's pause here for a second. Can you tell me that you picture this in your head? Ready? Can you tell me that you're picturing after Michael's movie, the best we've ever seen Michael Myers, love it or hate it, Michael Myers, there's no better movie for Michael than Halloween Kills in terms of him, his killing, how he looks, everything. Can we agree on that?
I don't know if I agree with that 100%.
The best Michael's ever looked has ever been the kills. At least, obviously, we know that the more he kills, the more he transcends.
I have to really think about that.
Okay, whatever. Because you have whatever. Okay, fine. To me, it's the best one we ever seen Michael in, and the best kills, the best everything. The more he kills, the more he transcends, right? And I quote Laurie Strode. Then, after kills, you mean to tell me he just walks away? He walks away to never kill again. And not only that, but like he just walks around Haddonfield and is like, oh, there's a sewer here. Let me just walk in it and just stay here for the next 4 years. That makes no sense to me. And here's why it doesn't make sense to me. Because I have a comparison here that if he was able to stay in jail for 40 years, not killing anybody, how is it that the day he escapes, he becomes this dominant man for one day? Can you answer that to me?
I think what they were trying to say is after kills, he was hurt. Even though they made him seem like he wasn't hurt at the end of the movie, he was in fact hurt. So after all of that, he, found a place to rest or whatever, and that happened to be the sewer. It's clearly in this movie, it's not Michael at his full potential. He's damaged Michael in this movie. As we can see throughout the movie where he gets overpowered, where he gets assisted kills, he was not 100% Michael in this movie. He was 50%, if not less than that. He was not full-powered Michael. This is not full-powered Michael. He was hurt from the last movie. And also, you got to remember, he's fucking like 70 years old at this point.
He's not 70. He's 65. He's 65.
Oh, my God.
Stop it. Stop it, because if at 61 years old he can kill all those people in one night and lift dudes, firefighters, no problem.
This is not Dragon Ball Z. He's not Master Roshi. He's not in that shape. He's 65 years old. No 65-year-old man is gonna be able to do the stuff that he's doing unless he's supernatural. And then there is some supernatural elements here. that's where I feel like they killed everything, because the supernatural elements that go along with kills don't really go along with this. Because to your point, right, the more he kills, the more he transcends. After he killed all the people that he did in kills, he would have been the strongest he's ever been. What does he do? He fucking hides in the sewer.
But that. Are you not hearing what I'm saying? That's why
I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah,
I'm agreeing with you.
This movie, Halloween Ends, the concluding chapter.
What I'm trying to tell you is, they were trying to say he was hurt. Doesn't make sense with what the fucking kills.
It doesn't make sense though. Okay, fine. I saw that they were trying to make I can see that. I can see that they're trying to make him look weak. I can see that. But you gotta make me believe it, because it doesn't make sense. You can't have a movie like Kills and then have Michael look like this in his own movie, his own finale, the concluding finale, the concluding chapter of this 44-year legacy franchise. You immensely disrespect Michael Myers. Terrible.
Okay,
40 minutes in, we see him do what? He grabs Corey Cunningham, and what happens? Can you explain to me what happens there? Explain it to me.
Well, if you really want me to explain to you, I have to go back to when I saw it at the screening. So this could be interpreted a couple different ways, right? Okay. So, going back to Michael Myers, right? He's in this weakened state or whatever, and then you have this supernatural element. When I saw this movie for the original screening, one of the things that was different was that there was no montage. There was no montage, right? And when he grabs Michael in the final cut, the one that is out now, he grabs Corey, and there's a montage of all the stuff that Corey's went through, kind of implying that he kind of saw something in Corey, which causes him to let go. Whether that was the potential of being like him or whatever it may be. But I think that begs the argument of what you're trying to say, like, why do this to Michael in his last movie? I think the idea here is that Michael Myers is just the person behind the mask. It's not about Michael Myers. It's about the shape. Remember, Michael Myers is the shape, right? But in this particular case, I think what they were trying to hit on, which I don't think they succeeded on this, but I think what they were trying to imply and go towards was the idea that the mask, that monster, that person, or that being, that entity, that evil, is not Michael Myers. That's the shape. And anybody can be the shape. Anybody can be infected by the shape. Or anybody can kind of turn into that. And that's what kind of happens to Corey when you take an innocent character who you know for a fact he actually didn't kill the little kid, but everybody's accusing him. So they constantly accuse him. They poke the bear, saying, "Hey, you did this, you did this." Everybody's blaming him. The mom is pointing at him. Everybody's saying he's a monster. The radio station guy, everybody is pointing out that he's a psycho. The kids, it gets to that point where they're like, you call me a bad guy, I'm gonna be a bad guy. You call me something enough that I become it. And that's what I think they were trying to do with Corey, and they were trying to make him the shape. That was going to be the future. I don't think they executed that very well in terms of like establishing that there's this entity is not just Michael, it's the shape, right? It's implied in the last 5 minutes of the movie when she's writing when she finishes her book, right? But there's it's very poorly executed when it comes to the third act, and it just goes right back to being a Michael movie.
So, I think your reasoning is justified. I really do. I think your reasoning is a accurate one, a good one. The implication that evil takes shape, which kind of is what Laurie Strode says at the end, right? Cool. I get that. Sure. I'll say I get that. But a final movie like this has to have some serious thought, especially when it comes to the script, because I can't wrap my head around the fact that what you just said made sense, but Michael's action says otherwise, because he drags him into the sewer. So you're telling me Michael had to wait until he got up just to see his eyes?
Yeah. So, I don't know exactly what happened there. For all we know, he was going to kill him, and then he saw his eyes. But what I actually wanted to mention that I kind of skipped over is when I saw this, right, and there was no montage, the way I interpreted the first time was he was giving him some evil or something. Not giving him, but
that's what I thought too. He was like transferring his entity to him.
That's what I interpreted the first time. Now watching it the second time, I interpreted it as he saw what Corey went through, right? He saw that, and that's why he let him go. The first time, again, there was no montage, so it was up to just my interpretation of what him staring at Corey was. And then there's a big thing where like he's looking at his eyes, and you see his eyes, like you know they zoom in on his eyes, and then he goes home and he starts looking in the mirror, he starts looking at his eyes, and then Jamie mentions, Laurie mentions to him and says, or mentions to Allison, or mentions to the other chick, that his eyes are just Lindsay. Like Michael's. Yeah, he mentions to Lindsay that his eyes are just like Michael. So to me, it was heavily implied that something happened in that scene that infected Corey, which they later play on the fact that his wound was infected.
Yes, they tied the infection.
To your point, though, I do think they needed more time to get this across. I don't think this is a plan that you execute in the final movie. I don't think you do that.
I agree. I agree with you 100%.
If this was started in the last movie, it would have made more sense. But for you to do all of this on the last movie, it's just like, come on, man. Like,
not even that, but to do this all in the last movie, where it's like forced on you after a drag of a start, because this is 40 minutes in.
Yeah.
This is 40 minutes into the movie. 40 minutes into a 1 hour and 51 minute movie.
Yeah.
That's where it feels like it's like, yo, I'm a little bit confused right now. What's going on? And then I started to think, okay, let me process my brain to think that this movie is going to be this way. Because then you have the incident with Allison and Corey eating, and then Officer Mulaney comes in, is obviously trying to talk to Allison, and then Corey gets a little, evil over here, trying to fight him. Mulaney chases him. Corey brings him to Michael. 55 minutes. Now, this is 55 minutes in. You see Mulaney with the flashlight. You see Michael obviously there. And Michael is doing this. Michael is putting his hands up, like kind of hiding. He's hiding. I don't know if you saw that. He's going like this.
I know. I know you see him hiding, but I never. Well, again,
he has his arm up like this. I didn't see
his arm.
He's going like this. He's not standing like Michael. He's going like this. So I started processing it this way, because then he runs to Mulaney, and then Mulaney kicks him or something. He pushes him down, and then Corey's like, get up, show me the way. And Michael's like kind of resisting. So in my head, I'm thinking to myself, Michael transferred himself, the evil, into Corey. Corey's going to kill. When time comes, Michael's going to take that evil back to become stronger. That's what I, switched the gear in my head to think, No. It wasn't that. I don't like the way Michael was really treated in this movie, man. I really don't. I get the direction they were trying to be in, but I feel like they could have still done it in a way that makes Michael look like Michael.
This was my biggest critique when I first saw it as well. I knew you weren't gonna like weak Michael. I knew 100%. I was like, "There's no way nobody was gonna like weak Michael." I think my brother's gonna have the same reaction as well.
How are you going to have Michael in his own finale, in his own movie, become weak? It just, I understand. I get it. Like again, people who are listening to this, I promise you, there are good things about this movie that I am going to mention. But again, this is my favorite horror franchise, and I'm just trying to critique it, because if it doesn't make sense, if it doesn't work, I have to be vocal about it, because it's not fair to fans. I really feel like it's not fair to fans. I really don't. And Michael Myers having the movie that he had in Kills to coming to this in his finale with Laurie Strode, it's not fair, because in Kills we had Michael go all crazy, Laurie Strode was sidelined. In this movie, we have Laurie Strode's best performance. I think Jamie Lee Curtis's best performance as Laurie Strode was in this movie. My honest opinion.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Nope.
Okay, so that's my opinion. I think she did an amazing job.
I have a hot take on that one, but continue.
We'll talk about that.
I think the script didn't let her do that, but I think she's a great actress. I just think I don't like the script in this. Actually, super hot take. I think her best performance is probably H2O.
I figured you would say. Do you know why? Do you know why you're saying that? Even though H2O is a slow movie,
super slow.
I think the final battle between her and Michael was
badass.
Was badass. It was a really good one, and which is what I think this movie should have. This movie had a good fight scene. I'm not gonna lie, but I think it felt short. I think Laurie went too easy. It may just be me.
No, it's just that it wasn't a chase, bro. Look at the fucking chase of of Halloween H2O. Bro, her hiding underneath the tables, him flipping the tables and fucking looking for her, and the way that starts off where she hits the gate with the axe and says, Michael, and she's hunting him. Bro, come on, bro. How can you not like that part of H2O?
I agree with you.
And her looking for Michael and Michael fucking popping up and shit. Nah, come on. H2O will forever have a sweet spot in my heart, bro.
Yeah, I just didn't like the alcohol and like her being like a different person with a different name, like Miss Tate or whatever her name was. Like I didn't like that.
I was fine with it as long as it didn't like make it seem like it actually took place after 4 and 5. I was fine with it.
Nah, I was
5 and 6.
But whatever, regardless. Which proves again my point. I know we're still stuck in this whole thing about Michael Myers, which proves my point. It makes no sense again. It doesn't make. It's confusing. Like I don't understand. Michael out of nowhere shows up to Laurie's house without Laurie knowing, and like then Laurie's like, so Laurie dealt with Corey, and she's like, "Oh shit, Michael's here." Like okay. What?
Actually, I want to get to that. Can we come back? So first off, there is a part where you do see him outside watching her.
I know.
And then he looks and then looks away. He's like, "Nah, I'm not fucking with her."
Which by the way is the only element of Michael that we see in this movie, I think.
Yeah, probably.
We don't see him walking like we always do. We don't see him walking. We don't see him creeping. We don't see him breathing. We don't see him escape anything. We don't see any of that.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's come back to this because we are already 50 minutes in, and what I want to do.
Long one. We knew.
Yeah, what I want to do now is actually let's talk. Let me talk about a little bit about what my experience was like in the screening.
Yes, please.
And then, we could talk about some of the things that were different. Or I could talk about some of the things that I noticed that were different in the original cut. So this was back. I have my original notes in front of me. So I have two sets of notes. I have the notes from when we saw it, which was, fun fact, we saw it October 13th, right? This is day 0. I have notes here from July 13th. Exactly 3 months before exactly 3 months before we actually finally saw it. Yeah. So let me just make sure that this lines up. Yeah. Okay. So my experience with the screening, first off, I got these tickets. They said upcoming horror movie, rated R. I wasn't sure if I was gonna go. I hesitated. I ended up finally saying, you know what, it's worth the risk. Let's see what happens. I go to the movies. Lo and behold, it's the movie. A lot of people were speculating what movie it was. I heard there was 2 screenings going on, and they had 2 different endings. You had, I believe, a green wristband and a red or green and orange wristbands. I was lucky enough to have, I believe, the green wristband and the same screening that Jason Blum and David Gordon Green were in. So the first person that I recognized was Jason Blum, but lo and behold, David Gordon Green sits right in front of me. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, this is after the reshoots. This must be the, what's leading to be the potential final cut of the movie, right? Here's some of my notes here. So I did write down Corey accidentally kills a kid. Kind of felt like Corey and Allison was rushed. Michael Myers passes the evil on to Corey, and then I wrote some comments about all the particular kills. The amount of kills that Corey has in comparison to Michael, which is very significant. There's really only 2 kills that go counted to Michael versus 13 or 14 if you count the kid that go towards Corey. I didn't like the finale. I didn't like the crowd surfing. He gets shredded in the back of the car. I mentioned a little bit about the Michael getting kind of his powers back once he finally kills Corey. And then I felt like the last thing that I have here is ending ? Like, is this it? Like, is this what it was supposed to be? I had a hard time questioning whether like this was what they were trying to do, right? Before I even get to the differences, is I was trying to, to your point, right? They mentioned COVID. It's supposed to be something different with COVID. We never got there. That's one of the questions that I had. Keep in mind that when I did see it, there was no montage. There was no music in the movie or anything like that. There was no soundtrack. So certain things were different. And now to get to my final notes, and I actually wrote down some of the differences that I noted here. the pumpkin scenes, the intro, very small, but the animations there were definitely not as finished as they were in the final project. I actually do like the animations on the final project, and I like the idea, Gary. I think that plays onto the idea of the shape and the mask being anybody, right? When you have the pumpkins opening, pumpkins inside of pumpkins. Like you mentioned, the montage. Like I mentioned, the montages weren't in the screening at all. One of the I think one of the weird things that I noticed, and I was like, I guess I was surprised, but it makes sense in retrospect. Is like in the screening, Allison leaves in Corey's motorcycle. And I was confused as to why she did that. And then in the final cut, she leaves in the car, which makes a lot more sense. Because why would you leave in this guy's fucking motorcycle, given what just fucking happened? I also noticed. I mean, this was probably my biggest complaint. This is probably my biggest complaint is that Michael was really, really weak in the screening.
Like, so you talked about the scene where Corey comes and takes his mask in the sewer, right?
It was worse.
You saying it was worse?
It was worse.
Tell me how.
So I don't think Michael ever really fought back. It felt like he was walking towards him, like he pushed him, and Michael just like didn't move or didn't react, and then Corey just kind of beat him up and grabbed the mask.
A 21-year-old.
Yeah, it did seem like in this version it was also cut down, so maybe they just made it shorter. And added the part, or I guess they already had to have it filmed where Michael pushes him down first before it happens. But in the early screening, it just seemed like he completely overpowered Michael, and I was really upset at this to the point where I mentioned this when they asked me for some notes. I was like, no, like I was not feedback. A fan. Yeah, for feedback. I was not a fan. I was not a fan of weak Michael. Of weak Michael in this, and that was also my biggest complaint. Well, not my biggest complaint. What I thought was going to be very divisive, which stands true, is that such minimal screen time in this movie. Yeah. Which I was like, is Michael really in this movie? Like, you really think about it, it's like, not really. He's a very little part of this movie, and a lot of it is Corey actually killing people with the Michael mask, which I guess you could like you mentioned. I mean, like I mentioned, it could be the shape. But yeah, I think those were the biggest differences, to be honest. There was another scene where I mentioned that Allison kind of knowing about Corey's background was different. In the screening, she never explicitly mentioned that she knew. It was kind of implied. Versus here, there's the scene with Allison and Lindsay, where Lindsay mentions that Allison knows, right? You remember what I'm talking about at the bar, in the party or whatever? Right. I don't believe that scene happens at all in the screening. So it was almost like, what does she know? Like, does she know that this is who she's dating? Yeah, and I did find that very strange. It's like, I get it that he's been through some stuff, but why does that make you want to reach out to him? Or like give you some sort of attraction towards him?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my biggest takeaway from the screenings, outside of the fact of like Michael transferring the power onto Corey and Corey transferring it back, which again, once I resaw it now, kind of interpreted it a little bit differently. I interpreted it more so as Michael just saw what Corey had been through, and then there's the supernatural element of every time Michael kills, he fucking shivers and becomes strong.
Right. Which we did see in the...
Yeah, when he kills...
Right away, yeah.
Yeah.
Mulaney. You watching it in the early screening is great and all, and me not watching it was a little upsetting. But if I had watched what I think I can picture in my head, you watching with Michael being weak, I think I would have lost it. I think I would have everything. I would probably wrote a letter like, "Yo, David Gordon Green, everybody at Universal, I am a white man. You ever see white shit? I am." Change this movie. Like, this, people are not gonna like this. It's insane, man. It's crazy to me, because you mentioned the fact that like Michael has like little to no time in this movie, and like the way they market it is like, yo, Michael versus Laurie. This is his movie. It's so bad, man. And
yeah, so here's the thing is, right, I'm hearing some arguments, or I saw some arguments online about the amount of time Michael has in this movie, and it's really doesn't have anything to do with the actual screen time, but like how they portray him. Because one of the things that people mentioned...
It's lose-lose.
One of the things that people mentioned is actually, if you go back and watch John Carpenter's original Halloween.
He has more screen time.
Yeah, he has more screen time here than he does there.
And what does that show you? And what does that show you? That in Halloween, probably the best one ever that anyone can ever say it is, and like he has the most dominant presence in that amount of time as opposed to Halloween Ends. Is it like it's crazy.
Yeah.
And okay, so like Michael aside, we understand that Michael looks weak, no time. They sideline Michael in his own movie. Immensely disrespectful, like I mentioned before. Let's talk about characters too. Let's talk about kills. Can you tell me that out of everybody that died in this movie, that you cared for anyone? That you empathized for anyone here?
Maybe the dad.
Ronald. Is that even his dad?
I don't know. I think it's his stepdad.
Yeah,
it's not his dad. It's implied that his not.
And he died by accident. He didn't even die by him. So
he didn't kill him. Yeah.
So
he didn't kill him.
Everybody that died in this movie, I didn't care for. So like.
But they were all characters. If you realize that it was a specific path outside of the bullies, of course, the bullies were killed because they fucked with him. But everybody else, the doctor, the nurse, the DJ, they all were in some way related to Allison and spoke bad to Allison or whatever. And Corey was kind of taking that out. You could probably see the DJ spoke bad to both of them,
right?
But he was killing people kind of in the path of Allison as well,
right?
Like the doctor and the nurse were definitely.
So this brings me to another note I have here. So okay, so we do we agree on the fact that all the people that died we didn't care for? They're all bad people.
Yeah, there's no debate there. I think they did it on purpose almost. Okay.
If I can't have her, no one will. This is, and I quote Corey. Then at the end, Laurie and Corey's standoff, Corey hears Allison coming in, and he says, "If I can't have her," and then he kills himself. He stabs himself in the throat. Can you can you decipher this for me? Because I'm trying to understand what this means.
I will defend this a little bit. Here's why I will defend this. One of the things that I did like, right, about this movie, not necessarily the Corey character, but the actor who played Corey. I thought he did a great job.
He did a great job. What's his name? I'll give you right. Rohan Campbell, I think his name is.
He did a great job.
Rohan Campbell. Yep.
Yeah, he starting off from that innocent character in the early scene, the pre-title scene, and then moving into a complete cycle that is Corey by the end of the movie.
I wish I could have acted his role, man. I've been sick.
Yeah, but I think because of that, I would say that the idea behind it there was just that he was a full-blown psycho. He would do anything. And anything to make Laurie look bad and be the good guy here in the story. And he knew that killing himself would do that. Even though it was kind of stupid that the fucking mask was right there and you could see that it was obvious that he was up to something.
Allison, terrible. But
yeah, that's where you draw all the red flags. Like, Allison ignored all the warning signs.
Every single one of them. And then she came back afterwards. Like, yeah, it was like I knew something was wrong.
She comes back afterwards after seeing the fire, which I guess is
after seeing the fire. Also, but she got a call from Frank.
The suicide, yes.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we got a suicide line call from Laurie, which was badass, by the way. Like when she's like, "Did you really think I would kill myself?" Like that was badass.
Yes, but I to your point, you mentioned something here. You said that you felt like the trailer showed more, correct? In that particular scene,
more that we didn't have. Oh yeah, exactly.
I
think the trailer showed it, and this movie we didn't see that.
I think in the screening it showed it. I think the screening had those extra scenes.
So do you know what that says about?
I felt that there was a little bit more time there. It was that particular scene was better executed in the screening. I can tell you my experience watching it early on. It was more convincing that she was going to kill herself than when I saw it. And it's not because I already had seen the movie, but it's because it felt fast.
Right.
Like in the screening, there was more time. You hear her talking and her saying everything, and then all of a sudden you hear the gunshot and the door slowly opens.
Right.
Here, it's like it was running at like 1.5 speed. Like everything was going a little bit faster. Yeah, I do think that was one of the differences as well in the screening, for sure.
I think that to me says a lot. Then I feel like that to me says like, oh, we messed up. We probably shouldn't have put that in the trailer, and like not even in the movie itself. I mean, because that's a big giveaway. Like I said, like 5.
Yeah, but that, you see, I do think that didn't make any sense to show in the trailers, because in the later trailers, I believe they show her straight up holding the gun towards the camera.
That's true.
That was just stupid. Like, why would you do that if that was going to be such a big moment, like in every other movie? Because Halloween did Halloween Kills have that moment? But well, Halloween 2018 had the moment with Karen and the gotcha.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then Kills had the moment with Karen again, right?
yeah.
Was
Gotcha.
it with
Yeah, when she took his mask,
the pitchfork? Yeah.
lured him into the
Yeah, so it was
town
another
and crap,
gotcha moment, except this one was completely spoiled.
right. Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And like, I get it. Fine, I'll give you that. Defending that he's a little psycho, like he even mentions it himself when he's in like the house talking to Lori, like I'm the
Bro,
psycho, you're the freak show.
I honestly I get it. I get the hate behind Corey's character because of the fact that this is a Michael movie, but he acted his ass off,
Yo,
and just small things that he did, like the way he portrayed the character was great, and also a couple things that given the writing there, the fact that he slept on the spot where the kid died, I was like, this guy's a fucking real psycho,
bro.
And then he clearly had mommy issues.
Yeah,
there were small little things here that had potential.
Like she slapped
his
him
mom
and kissed him, and
then
the guy
mom accidentally kisses him in the mouth. I was like,
but
then
then Ronald goes, "I hope you find love." That's one of those dialogues. I'm just like, what the hell's going on? But
Yeah.
to your point, I have it here as a pro too. He did a great job. Rohan did a great job portraying Corey. I think they did a phenomenal job showing the 2019 version of him, being in like computers and whatnot, and like the haircut and the glasses and the cleanup, like, and then as opposed to the evil eyes and how he's without the glasses, he's kind of walking around angry, and like he showed like when he's like tearing up and a lot of the things, like when he's talking about how he was jumped, he's explaining it to Lori and Allison. I think he did a great job there too. That's not the problem. My gripe is not with Corey. Excuse me. My gripe is not with Corey. My gripe is like the direction that you headed, you couldn't execute. You couldn't commit to it because you did all of that in addition to making Michael look weak just for him to take it and be like, if I can't have it, and he kills himself. That to me, that to me shows like, yo, I didn't know what I was doing here. Like as a writer, like it's like, I don't know what I was doing here.
No, I'm with you. I'm 100% with you.
Did I go black here for a second?
Yeah, I think you went black for a second. I don't know what happened.
Okay. But yeah, continue talking. I'll be here. I don't know why I went black.
No, but yeah, all of a sudden it was just like they didn't know what to do with the character. I'm 100% with you in that regard. And I feel like if it wasn't for that, there could have been so much potential for that to like move forward.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. I'm trying to understand it a little bit more. I don't know. I really, really don't know. If I can't have her, like, what does that mean? Like, I'm like, no one will, but you're dead. Like, how are you gonna?
I mean, you also got to keep in mind that he was shot twice and fell down the stairs at this point of the scene, right?
So yeah, but still, he's mentioned this before too, in the stairs too. Like, I don't know. I just don't know. Another thing that's upsetting is Lindsay's character.
Not used at all.
Huh? Not used at all. Like, it sounds really harsh, but like she should have just been killed off on kills. Like what was her point here? What was her arc here? What was her story here? It's just the fact that I guess like there's a lot of Halloween 1978 callbacks that I have here written down. Laurie Strode with the pumpkin, with Lindsay being there, which is cool to see. I'm not gonna lie, it's really cool to see that. Just like in 1978 where she's doing it with Tommy and Lindsay. There is the death of that new promoted nurse. Where Michael kills her, and he's reminiscing like with Bob,
and she's like left on the wall.
Yeah, Corey getting the knife just like Michael did in 1978 when he was a kid, and in 2018, cool. Corey out the window staring at Laurie Strode, just like how Michael did when Laurie got back from school that day in 1978.
Well, he wasn't staring at Laurie.
Yeah, it was.
Corey out the window?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the scene with the bush. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about
the scene. He was staring out the window into Laurie, like Laurie was looking outside, just like how she did in 1978. Laurie's final outfit. Her outfit reminiscent to the one in 1978. Same thing with the blue button downs and jeans. Cool. Yep. There's a lot of them here that I thought was cool because I think they did pay attention to that. I feel like they've done it in every movie in this trilogy so far. Like in 2018, Kills and On Ends. But Lindsay's character, I didn't see the reason for besides
I don't know. They just wanted
an Easter egg or a callback.
I think that's what it was. I was gonna say I think they just wanted to have another callback to another character that survived. Besides that, the one thing that I do want to say, and I'm pretty sure you agree with this, is that there are some good kills here.
Yeah, no, there's some good kills here. But I'll be honest with you, like the fact that we don't care about these characters at all negates the fact that It's meaningful. It's a cool. It's definitely a cool kill. I think it's
Well,
really dope.
but here's the argument about that though is who like again I hate to do this,
Okay.
but who do we care about in kills that dies outside of Karen? Who's the last person that dies? Do we care about Tommy? Do we care about anybody in the mob? We don't care about anybody in the mob.
We don't care about anybody in the mob, but at least we care about people who are good people, who are good civilians, right? Like Big John, Little John, like the.
But do we? Big John, Little John was my favorite part of the movie, to be honest.
Right.
I told you that. Who else do we care about?
Big
I
John,
guess
Little
the
John,
old man.
The old man with his wife, which we don't really like. We see now that the wife wasn't really dead, which is another thing I have here. A con. People, the town is upset with Laurie Strode with Michael Myers. Why are they upset with her? Like she didn't help him escape jail. Like, you know.
I blame Kills for this because I feel like that was them trying to connect Kills to these movies.
How was this Kills' fault?
Because they were trying to bring the whole town aspect on this movie, where it was like the town is upset, the town is infected, and it wasn't until they finally killed Michael that, you know, they could free up this evil or whatever. I don't know. Anything that was related to the town pissed me off, and I felt like they started that in Kills, and that's why they had
if you don't know, you can't mention it because that's not fair. Then just to say Kills is the reason why it's like you blame.
Well, it's obvious that that was the only connection to Kills.
It's not obvious to me then.
Well, I mean, it's kind of true. Like, there's nothing. What other connection is there to Kills?
Forget Kills. I'm just saying the fact that like he escaped it. Like this is not Laurie's fault that Michael escaped. Yeah, Laurie obviously knew what he was capable of, and she had that encounter with him in '78 and was waiting for him to come back. She wished for him to come back, but that doesn't mean that because he did come back, it's her fault. Like, and then she starts crying. Like Laurie Strode starts crying.
I don't like Laurie in this movie, man. I don't like Laurie in this movie. I don't like her.
Oh, I disagree. I think she's. Great
I don't like her cooking a pie, and that particular scene, the dialogue there, that was weird to me. The whole, oh my god, a pie! Oh my god, I have a pie! I wanted to make a pumpkin pie for Halloween. Oh my god, shoot me now! This is not Laurie, man.
Check this out.
Laurie's a badass.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. The thing here, though, with that is trying to portray some normal life for Laurie, because we can't have her in 3 movies being like, we have to fight, you know, we gotta be ready for Michael.
And but then you're arguing. Wait,
I'm not done. I know what you're gonna say because I'm
argument right here.
No, I'm not done. The execution is terrible, though. That's what I'm saying. The execution is terrible, though, because it doesn't make sense. Just like how I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, it doesn't make sense for that to happen. Just like it doesn't make sense that Allison decides to leave Haddonfield after Michael Myers dies. That makes no sense to me. The whole time you are there, you're okay with staying there while you know Michael's around. You know that he killed your parents and, you know, Cameron and everyone. And then once he's dead, you decide to leave. Like that's a big middle finger to Laurie as well. Like, she did everything for you, and now you're just gonna leave her alone? Like, that's terrible, man.
She felt like she was staying for all the wrong reasons, apparently.
One thing that I'm going to give this movie, I mean, I'll give it a lot of things. I do like the fact that the cinematography in this movie is great. The shots are great. I think, despite how Michael did, you know, get disrespected here, he does look good. He looks a lot wider and bigger and meaner for some reason, and like more worn down with his mask. He looks good. I do think that it is still like a Halloween movie, a Halloween vibe, which is great. One thing that I do feel, I don't know if you feel this way, I do feel like, in a weird way, it does seem like the end. Like the way they did that, the way that I'm getting upset with Michael's ending too, it feels like it is the end. I don't think we're gonna ever see Jamie Lee Curtis come back to this. I don't think that we're gonna see Michael's story continue from here on out.
She's got her entire press run saying this is her last movie.
Yeah,
which I believe her. I believe her. She's only
and 12 movies that we've seen Michael Myers in this franchise. This is the most concrete, you know,
ending
death. And concrete ending that we've seen Michael in. And
I mean, they only shredded him.
They only shredded him. And like, I know some people online like have even been saying, I try to stay away from people online now, but still, like, they're saying like, oh, you know, people can pick it up again and continue it from like a different standpoint before, like, you know.
And it won't be the same timeline.
It's not the same timeline, and it's not the same effect too. Like, I'm so grateful grateful that I get to be here. I even texted you this, like, yo, I can't believe we're going to see Ends, like in our time, like
Yeah,
a 44-year franchise coming to
I'm
an
with
end.
you.
And yeah, we all we have really left to talk about is just the ending that I know of, like
No,
Michael
I'm with
being
you.
there.
I
Go
think I
ahead.
covered pretty much everything. Um, pretty much. I touched all the points that I liked. I touched on all the points that I didn't like. From the ending, I wasn't a big fan. I think they made it a bigger deal in the screening of him like getting paraded around the town on top of the car and then crowd surfing onto the shredder, whatever.
Yeah, whatever
um,
is right.
yeah, but I do understand what you're saying. It does feel like this is it. Like this is the last one, and you know, it's the conclusion. Not exactly what we wanted, but it's the last one.
Yeah.
And it does feel that way. And as much as you do see the mask in the last shot in Laurie's house. They mentioned that evil's a shape, so technically anybody could, if they really wanted to, they could have somebody else pick up the mask and it be in the same universe. But would people watch that? Would people be happy? I feel like people would be even more upset. And then,
I would. I would.
yeah,
I'll tell you right now.
I don't see them continuing this story.
Yeah.
I don't. I honestly, it's gonna be some time whether they, even if they decide to reboot Michael entirely. I think, I mentioned this to you before, but like the next Halloween that has Michael Myers has to be drastically different. Like if you thought this was different, the next one Michael's gonna be a girl. Like it's gonna be like different. Like it's gonna have to be a completely different movie. They might go the season of the witch route and just do something else entirely.
You've mentioned this to me. You've asked me this before. You've said, "Do you think they're gonna make another movie? If this movie makes money?" And this movie apparently has already made $41.2 million, which is great numbers. It really is great numbers. But the way it ended, I don't think that they can continue this at all. I really don't.
Well,
And unless they do something different.
So here's my question to you: there, are you saying this trilogy or Michael Myers in general? Because a reboot is always an option.
Man, a reboot can happen, but I think you got to give it some time. I think reboot can definitely possibly happen, but at the same time, it's not gonna have the same effect as it is gonna have on like this one. You can't compare the two, and I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know how I feel about it, and I do agree with you that if they are going to do that, it has to be completely different because I applaud. I said this to you. David Gordon Green is ballsy that he went to do a different route, and I trusted him. I trusted him that even though it's different, it was going to be good. And I see the route that he was attempting to conquer, but it just execution wasn't there, and bro, simply put, it just didn't make sense. And that's what left a lot of people confused, and it left me confused. I had more questions than I ever did for any movie. And the weight that this movie held, the volume that this movie spoke to all the fans around the world that are Halloween, fans.
Yeah.
This is what we're gonna remember, man, moving forward.
I agree. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, which is surprising because we don't usually see eye to eye when it comes to these sort of things, or at least. You really liked Kills. You really liked Kills. I thought Kills was terrible.
Kills. Now seeing this movie, Kills is 100 times better than it was before.
I completely disagree, guys. I think Ends is a much better movie than Kills. I'll say this, and again, we can continue after this, but I can rewatch this. I think there are elements in this that I liked. I thought Corey Cunningham was an interesting character. I thought he was acted pretty well. Not pretty well. I'm sorry. I keep on forgetting his name. Rohan Campbell did a great job playing Corey Cunningham, and I thought the story was at least interesting. If you add all that way of I guess it's the finale, then yes, you're disappointed, and if you're a big Michael fan, you're definitely going to be disappointed because you wanted him more of the movie. But I think even with that being said, it was still interesting to a certain degree. I think Kills is so bad I can't rewatch it. I think the dialogue of that movie is hilariously bad. I think Kills is probably bottom 3 worst Halloween movies of all time. Ooh. This will have a cult following to a certain degree, and there was potential there at least. I think what it comes down to is when it comes to this trilogy of movies, we're gonna remember Halloween 2018 as the actual end. We don't really want to talk about anything after that. And 2018 wasn't perfect by any means, but it was by far one of the best Halloweens.
And
anything after that, no.
And I quote David Gordon Green: "Halloween Kills is the middle child. We are going to have fun with this one." Here's the thing.
But you see,
here's the thing, Tommy.
I don't mean to cut you off, but here's the problem with something like that. And you've never seen Star Wars, so those who've seen Star Wars will know this. Empire Strikes Back is such a good movie, and it ends on a to be continued. It doesn't have. It's a good movie on its own. Forget about A New Hope and Return of the Jedi.
It depends if
I know,
you want closure.
no, but what I'm telling you is, if you have to think of it as a middle movie, then it doesn't work. I'm saying I'm taking every movie and it has to stand on its own two legs. Kills, terrible acting, terrible writing. Outside of Michael, what is there to like in that movie? I told you I like Little Bob, Big Bob, whatever the name is. I don't like anything else. That movie is hard to watch. The writing is so bad. It is so cringy, man. I can honestly say I haven't been able to go back and rewatch it.
Listen, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. That's totally fine. You can feel that way. I do think that Kills was probably the most fun Halloween to watch out of this whole trilogy. It was the most fun to watch. I think Michael has never looked better. Yes, I agree with you. I'm a man. Like, I can admit it. Tommy was horrible. Evil Dies Tonight was horrible. Characters make some questionable...
Confusing the asylum.
Hold up. Characters make some questionable decisions. I totally understand that with that nurse, like, how she kills herself and where the hell is she throughout that whole interaction. I get that. I 100% get that. However, bringing back all the original people, having that beautiful flashback that they've done, and if you look at it from behind the scenes, the creation behind, everything with that flashback and just tying it to the first day, just like the Halloween 2 of the original, 1981 film, it's just, I think it's great. I think there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, it had some dead spots, but for you, I've always said this before, for you to say you can't go back and watch this, I think it's terrible. And to compare Halloween Ends to Kills to make yourself feel better about Ends says a lot about Halloween Ends.
No, but I'm not comparing it straight to that movie. You're basically saying that you justify Kills because it's a middle movie. By saying that, you're saying that you're justifying it because it's between two other movies. I'm saying I like Ends more than Kills as a standalone movie. Forget about any other movie. If I'm watching Ends alone, at least there were elements that I thought were interesting.
No,
I can see why somebody would like Kills if all you're into is watching people die. If that's the case, I think if you like Kills, then you love all the.
Though.
It's literally just Michael killing people, and there's no story.
The Halloween 2018 is about evil, right? The trauma that Laurie Strode, blah blah blah. Halloween is about the evil spreading, infecting the whole town, and how the town is already
and that's again
explaining Michael Myers and the entity that is Michael Myers. So there's a lot of story there that you choose to
There's no story. That movie doesn't follow anybody. There's no like straight narrative in that movie.
It follows Michael.
Okay. It follows Michael. I don't know.
Which ends the. Listen,
I think honestly, if we're really comparing it to Ends, after watching Ends, it just makes me hate Kills more because it makes no sense.
Again, we could just
Again, we're gonna have to agree to disagree.
I literally was just about to say agree to disagree. What is your rating for Ends?
Ooh,
should I give mine first?
Yeah, you could give it first. I have mine written here.
My rating is, again, Halloween Ends. There's a lot of great elements, a lot of great callbacks. Laurie Strode's performance is great. I think is what helps the movie out a lot. Corey's character is really well done in terms of his acting and like what they were trying to do with it. I think the execution came a little bit too short. Lindsay being, sidelined and Allison being degraded, and Michael's, again, disrespect and lack of time and weakness, and the ending. The fight scene was great. Don't get me wrong, the fight scene was great, but I feel like Laurie dominated most of it, and which again showed Michael's weakness. I give this movie a 5 out of 10. If I want to be nice, I'll give it a 6, but I'm definitely sticking with my firm 5. It was great to see this movie, the concluding chapter of a 44-year franchise. just unfortunate that it had to be this way. This taste now that's left with us, it's a little bit sad, to be honest with you, and I definitely do feel like it is the end. But
yeah. So with everything that we've mentioned, considering I saw this movie a couple months ago, I saw it again now, got to see the final cut. The things that I do like, the character of Corey Cunningham, the potential of the story, even though it wasn't properly executed. Some of the kills I thought were really, really good. There's potential here. That's my main thing. I would have to give it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree.
I give it a 6 out of 10.
I agree with that rating. I know everyone. It's been a long episode. It's just that we do have so much love for this franchise, and we just really wanted to break it down for you. And there's probably still so many things that we can talk about. We can talk about this for days. I think it's just it's crazy. It's crazy that we get to be in a time. I really do appreciate that. But that's pretty much all that you got from me today. I think you too, Tom Cruise. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
No, that's pretty much it. I guess the last thing I'll leave on the subject is I mentioned this to you before, and I said it before, and I'll say it again, is I don't think they had faith in this movie. Yes, you're talking about the potential here of it sold well. I don't think it sold well relative to the first movie. It was never going to be the first movie. But if they really thought this movie was good, they wouldn't have released it on Peacock. I'll say that again. If they really thought this movie was good, they wouldn't have released it on Peacock.
I hope David Gordon Green.
Peacock was the safe bet because they knew it wasn't going to do well.
Years from now,
it'll sell good this weekend because or this previous weekend because it was the first weekend. But I think the drop off is going to be huge. From everybody's reactions, and obviously it's on Peacock.
Last year I think we talked about this before. I think you said something similar, but this year I can't go against you. I agree with you. I think seeing what this movie was and the fact that because I think that they changed this movie for what they initially thought it would be. I think that they're like, yo, honestly, let's put it on Peacock. Whatever happens, happens. It's sad to say because I want to defend this movie. I really do, but I also got to be real, And that was that. So, yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, people of the world, listeners, viewers, that has been our review on Halloween Ends. Please follow us on social media at, TikTok and Instagram at Well That's Horrific and on Twitter at That's Horrific. Because if you don't,
well, that's horrific.
Peace, everybody.
Peace.